Hello, everybody. How are you? I am just doing fine. And today I want to talk to you about intimacy with God. Now, before we get into the series of messages, I was watching a program on which it was recorded live in the church, on which somebody or something you may or may not have experienced before. Now, in case you didn't know, I just want you to understand, first of all, my closest and dearest friends are Norbert and Rachel Rodriguez, obviously. And I have met them since my days at the same church where I have attended, where I was a member of the church, then attended the youth services, and we became friends ever since. And I just found out I have a lot in common with Norbert and Rachel. And believe it or not, when they go live each week, they always do prayer, talk about a series of messages, and do encouragement for many others, and always reach out to the people who are in dire need. Whilst with my show, in addition to doing each and every one of the commentaries, I too do a series of messages that Norbert and Rachel does almost every week, but in a different manner. I like to make things more funny, more appealing to the audiences who are watching right here, right now. Same with Norbert and Rachel, who like to make things appealing. And many of you may not be aware, they are my closest and dearest friends. And they talked about intimacy this evening. Now, what they have said was to have an intimate relationship. It cannot be matched by many things. However, in order to understand his love, we understand that all of us attend funerals, and we see people die in reality. That's how people love all of this. That's how people really come to know in real life. Now, in this series of messages, I'm going to be explaining to you differently than what Norbert and Rachel would preach. And it goes something like this. Now, true intimacy with God is something that has been sought by Christians with Christ walk the earth. It is natural for Christians to long the experience, the closeness of an intimate relationship with God. But true intimacy with God is simply not a feeling. Please notice that. On a romantic relationship, it goes much deeper than emotion, down to our very souls and reflected by our actions. Now, in Proverbs 3, verses 32, it reads, "For the Lord detests the perverse, but takes the upright of it into his confidence." In other words, God cannot have an intimacy with evil or with disobedient Christians. Understand, true intimacy with God begins with drawing near to him. In other words, you want to be close to God, so this way he will draw nigh to them. Next, God will never draw near to those who do not draw near to them. And the way we draw near is through righteousness. James 4:8 says it this way: draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double minded. Obviously, God will never draw near in intimacy with the unrighteous, but those who have been cleansed by the blood of Christ and have received his righteousness at the cross, 2 Corinthians 5:21, have the hope of intimacy with God. In fact, it is only those who have been saved by grace through faith, mark Ephesians 2, verses 8 through 9, who have that hope because Christ is the hope through which we draw near to God. Hebrews 7:19. Now, listen to this. Jesus, in fact, is the model of intimacy with God because in between he and the Father are only one, obviously, John 10:30. And no relationship can be closer than that oneness with the Father that Jesus experienced. His relationship with the Father was characterized by love and obedience. Now, please, in love, Jesus came to earth to do his Father's will. He did nothing on his own, but in all things did the will of his Father. John 30 says that. Then, right afterwards, this was most evident in the Garden of Gethsemane the night before his crucifixion. Suffering the agony of anticipating what was to come, Jesus asked that the fate he was about to suffer might be removed from him, but he ended the plea by saying, and go over to Luke 22:42, that says, "Yet not my will, but yours be done." Here we see a perfect example of true intimacy reflected in obedience as Jesus yielded his to that of his Father. And finally, if we hope to attain true intimacy with God, then Jesus must be our model. We love God because he first loved us, 1 John 4:10. And we prove our love for him by obeying him, obviously. In John 14:15, Jesus told his followers, "If you love me, keep my commandments." When we obey him and keep what he has commanded, he promised that we will remain in his love, just as he remains in the love of the Father by doing the Father's will. John 15:10. There can only be intimacy with God when we are in good fellowship with him through his obedience. Not only that, not only that, it goes by saying, then we can know the joy and peace that comes from trusting him and yielding to his will, just as Jesus did. So, what did you learn from this series of messages so far? I have learned that in order to get to show intimacy from Jesus, it is very important. We learn to get love from him and only him from above, and to have a great relationship with God, and even try to be radical with him if you can. Well, thank you very much for watching. You be blessed. Take care. Goodbye.